So there was a suicide recently in Frankfurt. A 17-year-old kid. He'd gone missing. He broke up with his girlfriend, and he left work. They text messaged him. They couldn't find him. They said his phone pinged around 11:30. So somehow they was able to track his phone or see if his phone was on or not. But then a couple hours later, they found his body downtown. They just said it was lying on a street. So I'm going to talk a little bit about suicide. Emil Durkheim wrote on suicide, and his thesis that he postulated was that whenever someone kills themselves, that is a breakdown in society. Something in society broke down. So what happened? And when I think about the many reasons why it could have happened, it's infinite amount of reasons. He just broke up with his girlfriend, so he's lonely, depressed, has a woman of his dreams. She breaks up, and now he's got nothing, and he just feels like nobody cares and nobody loves him. Here is a gentleman. This was not a suicide. This was just a guy walking around or something and got killed by an undercover police officer. This happened in Florida. This is a recent thing that just happened. So I feel like I'm on both sides of the Black Lives Matter movement. Black lives definitely do matter. There's no doubt about it. But everybody's life matters too. And the things that we're up against, police brutality, racism, jails, I want the same world that many black people are wanting too. So I see no difference. Not no difference. I see some difference, but it's minuscule. Yeah, the police officer might shoot you versus just beating the crap out of me or something. I don't know. Whatever privilege enables me to have, I still don't feel as though I'm being protected. They're to harass and kill. And so, okay, my point of even saying that is perhaps society is broken. Perhaps society is sick. Perhaps there's a disease in society, a lack of compassion, love, solidarity, empathy, which I've once read a study that said our leaders are all psychopaths, clinically diagnosed to be psychos, not serial killers, but people who don't care about anybody else. So this gentleman, Corey Jones, he was just walking around. He had a confrontation. He was waiting for a tow truck to pick up his broken down car. He did have a carried concealed license, so apparently he had a weapon, but he wound up getting killed. One thing led to his car broke down. He's waiting for, to either get a tow truck, waiting for a tow truck to come fix his car. Cop says, hey, what's going on? One thing leads to the next, and now all of a sudden, people are popping off. So, when some people, there's clear things when people say, hey, I need help me. But when black men have to, live a particular reality that other people don't have to live, then that's an oppression that adds upon their shoulders that unless you talk to them or relate to them, you can't understand. You can't begin to fathom. Though you could help to shed light on it. There's this guy, there's a lot of people actually, the thing I've been thinking about the most, this guy killed himself. Freddie E. killed himself. And he wrote, a suicide note on Twitter, told everybody what was happening. And says, Jamie, that's right, sweetheart, I love you, I love you, I love you, baby. And I don't know where they're supposed to be. Maybe they deleted them. I'm sorry. God, please forgive me. Okay, there are some suicide messages here. So for Luke 8:17, for nothing is secret that will not be revealed, nor anything hidden that will not be known and come to light. God, please forgive me. I love you, Dad. I love you, Mom. I love you, Catherine. And then he kills himself. This is 2013. Smoked my first pack of cigarettes today. heartbreak. It's a cold, unforgiving world if I do say I'm sorry. This day couldn't get worse. Ain't nobody thirsty, and my day is ruined. There was an article I just wanted to see about, anything on the Twitter page would actually come up with anything. What happens to a Twitter account that becomes a suicide note? It talks about how the final tweets of Freddie E., a Seattle rapper who was posting chilling updates before committing suicide. Not the first time Twitter has served as a platform for a suicide note. Last month, King Capital Steez tweeted the end before taking his own life. The status update still sits on top of the account weeks later. So King Capital Steez, and it's got the Twitter, it's linked to the Twitter account. And that, there's this story right here. The first time I heard this story, I thought it was a boy who had got bullied. But apparently a girl had got bullied too. So here is 18-year-old Ashley Bilasano. So Ashley Bilasano, she writes 144 tweets screaming out for help. And nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a fuck. And so before you start looking at other people and saying, it's her, she's crazy. Ashley Bilasano was clearly nuts. She was mentally ill. She didn't care about her own life. And then once you put the blame on her, you think that there's something wrong with her brain, genetically, chemical imbalance. Something was wrong with her. It absolves you from all guilt and wrongdoing. Look, 18-year-old, she's beautiful, she's gorgeous. And what befell upon her? Why did she have to go through what she went through? Why did she have to, this is November 11, 2011. The title of the article is 144 tweets. She's got 500 followers. She sent 144 tweets. Nobody helped. So she's talking about expressing pain and grief prior to taking her own life. She went to the Twitter page 6 hours beforehand. She needed someone to talk to. She talked about taking apart a razor, doing what she had to do to forget. She swore after that night she wasn't the same. And nobody said anything. Hey, it'll be okay. Don't worry. I'm here for you. When the issue, she had been molested by a family member and then forced into prostitution. She also detailed her unsuccessful attempt at seeking justice. This is something that kind of happened to me. I got molested by Terry Schoen, a professor at Spalding University, and then I told 2 people, authority figures, about what had happened, and neither one of them took it serious enough to do anything about it. And I think ultimately that's what it is. We're selfish, narcissistic, egotistical, unempathetical. We don't want to empathize because if we say, shit, this is a bad situation and someone needs to help or there's nobody else to help but me, I need to do something right now this second before, another one falls off. We might have to do something. It might force us to do something when, people would rather just kind of sit and watch TV and just, chill, have a calm, pleasant evening. So why have to fucking deal with drama and bullshit? But ultimately, I think if we don't deal with it, then we're going to see more of these breakdowns happening. Ashley Bilasano's mother, Tiffany Ruiz Leskinen, said that being denied help with authorities was too much for her daughter to cope with. So when I told the authorities about me getting molested, she rubbed her hand on my leg a dozen times. It makes me think of Sandy Overly. She's the lieutenant governor, House leader of Kentucky state politics, and supposedly somebody had spanked her knee, is what they said. I don't know how you spank someone's knee if you're doing it childly, gently. Oh, you get out of here. And sort of, barely brushing it all seductively or some shit. Or if it was, no, don't act like that to me. And then she had responded after they had spanked her knee to, if you ever do that again, I'm going to kick your ass. And So, it does make me wonder how come Sandy Overly gets to say, I'm going to kick your ass for you touching me, and that's acceptable. But if I say anything similar, then I would get in trouble for it. That's not right. That's not acceptable. But hers is worse. She's getting molested by a family member, so by someone she trusts, and then forced into prostitution. So she is being forced, to have sex with other people for money, and that's sex slavery. That's just sick. That's fucked up. And she, not only does she have to live through that fucked up experience, which is way worse. Seems like I see a million times worse than mine. Because at the end of the day, I walked out of the office. I still got to maintain who I was. I wasn't under anybody's oppression. It seems like she's still under oppression and having to deal with this shit. And then when she goes out to tell somebody, what I had felt was fault, and when I told somebody and they didn't do anything about it, I felt embarrassed. It sucked that it had happened to me, but it was something that I could live with myself. But once I told someone else, and then they made a conscious decision to not do anything about it, I think people rationalize why, well, I didn't do anything about it. You wasn't serious enough. You didn't come in and say, hey, I want charges. And because it didn't come across that way, they sweep it under the rug. But perhaps then they'll start to say, well, maybe he just made it up. Maybe he was just lying about it. Maybe nothing like that even happened. And so I felt like I was humiliated before I could sort of deal with it. But then when other people knew about it and didn't give a shit, that was fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. You don't care that, if that is, a crime to rub on somebody's leg when they don't want you to rub on them when you're the authority figure. If that is something we frown upon, then it should, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I don't want to get robbed. I don't want to get raped. I don't want to be murdered. I don't want to be pummeled. These are obvious things. I also don't want to be lied to and cheated and other things. But can we at least agree on the big bad things? Murder, rape, stealing, violence, even oppression, like general oppression, slavery. Could you imagine living in slaveries? The days of slavery. But so Bill Asano's, mother, she says that she told the authorities and nobody gave a shit. The detective told her that she had trouble believing her. So it was a female cop. She goes to a female cop, tells her what it is. Here's someone who's been abused and is forced to be silent for so long. When the one person you go to looking for help says they might not believe you, the CPS caseworker was a rookie right out of college. She did not know anything and kept saying that she had to check with her supervisor. So, according to the report, a spokesman for Texas Child Protective Services said privacy policies keep the agency from confirming if an investigation followed Bill Asano's claim. Ashley tweeted about her disappointment when her allegations of sexual abuse weren't taken seriously. The decision not to indict her alleged molester after an investigation had a profound impact on her. She tweeted, weeks passed. Then I got the call. They said, sorry, but there isn't enough evidence. I hung up. That's when I changed. I didn't care anymore. The people I was meeting gave me no reason to. She gave up on herself is what happened. Other people didn't believe in her, and what's she to do? So November 7th, Ashley had enough. The following messages were the final messages sent by the teen, and within hours, the young girl killed herself. There's somebody in my dreams. I want them gone. Kind of lonely right now. There's so much more I wanted to do. Time to move on. My thought process is too crazy. I totally think I'm bipolar or just crazy. My legs hurt and my heart was filled with despair. I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I took apart a razor, just gotten it from the store. I did what I had to do to forget. Well, that's the story of how I came to be who I am. Well, the condensed version. I'd love to hear what you have to say, but I won't be around. Take 2. Hope I got this right. So 9:45, 10:21, right? They're coming in burst, and then eventually 4 hours later, it's still nobody. Fuck it. Here it goes. Bill Asano reportedly killed herself via suffocation. So that's a paper bag. That's insane. That's crazy. Just put a paper bag over her head until she died. Her Twitter page has since been taken offline, but many are questioning why none of her 500 followers chose to help the emotional teen. Authorities investigating the case say that the people reading Bill Asano's suicidal tweets were not legally bound to report any impending suicide, but weren't they morally bound? somebody should have done something. You know, that's what a lot of people say was, oh, you know, how come he didn't talk? How come he didn't do this and do that? Oh shit! It wouldn't fucking matter if he did. It wouldn't matter if, you know, she did say something. She did say something, and then she, you know, was offed. So what could she have done better than what she did do to get a different result? Only moving, if the authorities and you can't get justice, moving out of the area, try to establish yourself in some other area. Like, what can you really do? And that's bullshit. That's not fair. If you got victimized and now you got to pick up and go somewhere else because the town would rather keep their monsters instead of helping the victims. So I'm not going to check that out. There's several times that this happened. It's not just with them. Jim Carrey's girlfriend, his last tweet before committing suicide, signing off. And there was something about her actually had some prescription pills with his fake name on it or some shit. Catherine White. So apparently she really liked Jim, but when she was by herself, she said, fuck it. Signing off. Twitter, I hope I have been a light to my nearest and dearest. Peace, love to you all. Sad. Why'd she have to go? Why did she fucking do that? And it was cryptic. That wasn't obvious, you know? But recently, there was actually a big suicide bomber. Blew up a lot of fucking people. They don't know if it's ISIS or Kurdish rebels. Seems like it's an ISIS thing to do. But Turkey banned the media, right? So that's the problem. The problem is not that it happened, but it's that people take pictures and share that this thing happened. These suicides, and there's murders, right? When people are suicidal, they're capable of doing anything. They don't care about their own life. So, you know, that's a dangerous person. I think that's not only a person that needs love, compassion, and empathy, but that same sort of I don't give a shit feeling that's turned inwards could just as easily be turned outwards. And so, let's see. Adios, folks. Suicide notice here. It took me a while to actually click on this because it was like, it's just so fucking lackadaisical about it. I don't, you know, I just chuckled right there, but it's a nervous chuckle. It's not it wasn't funny. Like, oh, see you later. Adios, folks. Peace. Good luck, y'all. And then, you know, I clicked on it and it turns out, you know, goodbye, I'm killing myself. Long form. Hey, folks, this is a post. It's been a long time coming. 19 years of depression. And she sort of goes down this October 1st, 2014. So she says, all the hurt and the pain, the constant need to compare myself to all the normal people I meet, that's all. Done. And that's very cool. And then Kate Van Roder, I guess. Some people say, I hope this is a joke. Whatever you're going to do, stop. Please, Kate, don't. They tried to, you know, say something. She posted this October 1st. And there were some people that on October 1st said something, but we don't see her anywhere. They called her cops, and then turns out she's dead. She said she's going to kill herself. And then all these comments, people are like, no, don't do it. And then cops, and then all of a sudden she's dead. So, you know, RP Kate Von Roder. I wonder what, she had been bigger than, you know, just the suicide. What was Kate Von Roder, what was she all about? What was troubling her? Why did she not see any light at the end of the tunnel? Why did she think that there was no hope? 19 years she said she was depressed. 19 years. That's a... William Glasser. I really enjoyed William Glasser, and I got some other webpage of his. But essentially, I think the problems that most people are having or faced with are, you know, can be remedied. I think there is a solution to most people's problems. And William Glasser, he's got this incredible thing called reality therapy and choice theory. Just that title, reality therapy. It's a therapy being rooted in reality. Sober is son of a bitch, everything's real. And so when you know, it's reality, so not only do you have to make choices and, you know, get on in society, but you got to kind of have to cope and deal with the feelings that got you to that, you know, place in the first place. And it's about power. It's really just about empowering people. People who feel like there's no hope, there's no power to get them to where they want to go. So in all cases of oppression, that is always the thing: is one being bullied, one is being oppressed, and then all of a sudden that's all she wrote. And so it's, you got to empower people, with the students, with the children, with, people who are sad. She didn't feel power to get justice. She told the authorities they didn't give a shit. Now what she is supposed to do? What's she supposed to do now? There were options. She had options. But that sort of disappointment, called the cops, did what you thought was supposed to be done, and nothing happened. Here's another person in Korea. I'm going to commit suicide to all of you, even those. It's a South Korea man, former DJ, Lee Kae-hwa, 27-year-old. He was found hanging from a ferry dock. He says, I'm going to commit suicide to all of you, even those who shared the slightest friendship with me. I love you. Lee also reportedly left separate written suicide notes for his family and friends complaining of financial troubles. From Wednesday, Twitter restricted access to his account. This isn't the first case of a Twitter suicide in Florida. A woman posted her final public words under the name R. Sanj 104 on her Twitter account before taking her life because she couldn't pay her rent. A few days before the suicide, she said, the rich get richer, poor get poorer, families on the street, government doesn't care. God bless the USA, but can he save it? In another case, actress Demi Moore reportedly came to the rescue of a woman claiming she was to take her own life. The woman was visited by the police and taken to the hospital for evaluation. So, this is a recurring nightmare. This happens all the time. It's not every day, every minute, and, it's not a bunch of the stereotypical version of lemmings. And lemmings don't even do that. Lemmings don't fucking do mass suicides. The one video that we have of it, the guy is actually throwing lemmings off the cliff. So he's fucking killing them. Anyways, but it's not like every day, but it's way too many. This year there was some military man in Breckinridge County killed himself, killed his daughter. Probably killed his daughter first. Well, he had to, right? You can't kill yourself and then kill someone else. But he killed his daughter first and then he killed himself. A lot of these criminal activities, people breaking into houses, not giving a shit, people brandishing guns, that's suicidal. They don't really care about their life. And, that's a problem. That's a problem. People want to talk about mental health issues. I think that there is a sort of social stigma to it. Cray-cray. What do you use? Psycho, cray-cray. I'm just thinking about personality disorder. Could you imagine walking into, a professional's office and then, you're laughing and having a good time, and then they said, you know what your problem is? Your personality. You have a personality disorder. You need to take your who you are is a problem for me. You need to change who you are. And once you change who you are, but see, that's, William Glasser says that's what, is the biggest problem in the world, is that people want to change other people's behavior. You can't change other people's behavior. You can change your own. And how do you change your own behavior? Determines how you want to live the rest of your life. He also says there's no mental illness. He also says that there is a choice. And that's where reality therapy is talking about reality. And then choice theory is that you choose to be happy or you choose to be miserable. We all have choices, and the choices that we make lead to our mood. And so, I love it. I love William Glasser, that instead of, going to a psychiatrist and they diagnosing you and doping you up with pills and making you sort of a doormat, or just have you, fucking medicated to where you're just zoned out, not really there. That's, Tom Cruise is right. I do want to live a more healthy and fulfilling life. The ideal is not to be doped up on psychopathic pills. So, suicides. I don't know what this... Oh, yeah, the rich get richer, poor get poorer. There's also another incident of society's oppression. She can't pay her rent. So she's like, oh, fuck it. And so society, black lives, police brutality, oppression, troubles at home, sexual abuse, authorities not giving a shit, girlfriend breaking up with them feeling lonely. No hope. They are hopeless. They have no place to go. So what else can I do? And, that's, as a society, we should care about this. You don't want anybody in your family around you. You don't want to drive someone to suicide. Someone actually told me that they were the last person that they had called before the person committed suicide. And they said they were crying. They had nobody else to go to. She admitted that she always looked at her like a mother figure, her like a daughter's relationship, but her own mother was shitty, and she was crying, begging to say help. I need some help. And then she didn't give a shit. And then right after that phone call, she killed herself. I don't see how you couldn't feel directly responsible. Hey, I need some help. This is getting bad. Well, I'm not going to do a fucking thing. Fuck you. So you don't really care. Pretty much. Yep, I don't give a shit about your life. I'm not going to change my behavior or listen or empathize or try to get you out of this rut that you're in. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know, I got my life, I got my struggles, and now I got to drop everything just to make sure you're okay. And you know, people are selfish, so I think it's just obvious why people ignore this shit. You know, if I see injustice, yeah, I need to be Superman. They need to, you know, it fucks with my conscience too much. Hey, stop with the violence. Stop with the bullshit. When I see injustice, I cannot train my conscience to accept it. Because then I'll just be a psycho who doesn't empathize and don't give a shit when one person is harming another person. And the law of the jungle, the one with the power, the one who lives, is the one who gets to keep going. But we're supposed to be a civilization. This ain't the law of the fucking jungle. Right. Let's see. Avoids eviction. Arizona student tweets suicide in the school right now. This young man, you know, he's 18-year-old student, shot himself in the school. And he seems so happy. He's running track, physically fit, smiling. I saw some other pictures. But, you know, I remember Chris Kinman. Chris Kinman had killed himself in high school. He was a senior, great golfer, had a beautiful girlfriend, but he had broken up with his girlfriend. And he says when a girl asks to just be friends, it's basically telling you to fuck off, and then life has fallen apart in front of my own eyes, and it's all my fault. So again, you know, these young men are taking the rejection of women very well. And I understand it. I'll be honest with you. If you are lonely and isolated and you're out there and you got your queen and you adore her and love her and want everything what's best for her, and you just, you know, fight for her, and then eventually you're like, hey, I need some help too, and she's just kind of like, I don't understand this. You're supposed to love me. I can't love you back. No, no, I gotta go. I gotta leave. I need to call the cops or something because you're like stalking me, and so to go from one extreme to the opposite, right? I love you, I adore you, I can't wait, I want to be with you forever. And then she's like, okay, this is gonna hurt, but I never want to see you again. It's like, wow. So that's a dagger, that's a shot to the heart. But you should, if you have a good society, good family, good networks and relationships, you should be able to get through it. She's allowed to not give a shit. We're all allowed to not give a shit, right? We should care, but person doesn't have to love you. You know, if you're about to die, that's different than you just not wanting to, I don't know, get a job or something. So yeah, sad stuff, right? Sad stuff. Kate Von Roeder, this Marcus Wheeler in Tempe, Arizona. R.I.P. young people. And this, Twitter, this main woman, 144 posts. I'm gonna use her name, Ashley Bilisano. So Ashley Bilisano. You know, Ashley Bilisano, she got fucked over. She's a young, beautiful woman, probably had the world at her fingertips. What couldn't she accomplish? What could she have done with her life? You know, look at all these fun, smiling, happy pictures. And what an illusion. What an illusion. That other kid, that Marcus Wheeler, he was laughing, smiling, looking like he was having a good time in all the pictures, but sometimes the saddest people are the happiest when they're out. They're so happy to be around people and they're fun. But nobody says, hey, you're fun, I like you. You know, it's masking some deeper issues. Well, I mean, maybe people just like to be fun. I don't know. I just, To think that Ashley Bilisano thought that there was no hope. She's 18-year-old, young, beautiful woman in America, and there's no hope. None. And the same, I don't even know this woman, but the same sort of, I regret that I didn't know her, that I didn't say, hey, don't do that. Where are you at? Chill out, calm down. I will do something for you. I'll be your knight in shining armor. Who is this abuser? Who's putting you into prostitution? And it might be stupid. It might be wrong. But it's also right, too, And people say, well, ulterior motives. I don't know, maybe she's cute. But, even if there were ulterior motives, she has a right to say no. And because of those ulterior motives, like, I care about her humanity. I care about everything, like, maybe more than the boys, but I care about her life. I care about her humanity. I want her to have a happy, great life. I don't see, it makes no sense to me how this woman feels like there's no hope, nobody she could go to, and fuck it, I'm just going to blow my brains out. Ashley Bilisano did not have to die. And none of these suicides are people that have to die. That goes against the species. I've never seen a wild animal commit suicide. I've never seen it. Wild birds, wild dogs. I saw a deer actually recently. It was in a net in a fence, and the guy was cutting the fence off of him to help him get out. He was trapped, stuck. Looked like he probably would have just laid there until he died. He couldn't get out of the fence that he got wrapped up in. But even though the guy was helping him, cutting the fence and shit, the animal started getting all pissed off, just wanting to get up and run away. And eventually, once he cut enough snips, it started wiggling around, jumping around, and it was able to get the fence off of it and then ran away immediately. So this wild deer didn't even have the same inclination that Ashley Bilisano was thinking. Ashley Bilisano said, I got this fence around me, I'm lying in the snow, I'm dying, fuck it, I don't care. And then put a bag over her head and suffocated herself. But a white-tailed deer, a passive, non-carnivorous mammal out in the snow, was still fighting for its life, fighting to keep on going. So what is up with our species that we can make it to a point where people can just say, I don't give a damn no more. And then when I was trying to compare it to sort of male versus females, I would have reached, if I had known about any of these incidents, I would have reached out. I at least can listen, perhaps I can't solve everybody's problems, but I can at least listen. And I think giving people company to ease sort of their loneliness is one of the best things you could do, because that is, horrific. That is hard for someone to sort of go through alone. Anything, life by itself is, a hell of a journey. When we are born alone, we all die alone, so we are individuals, but at the same time, we're a society, and we should all love each other and hold each other's hands and sing Kumbaya. And so, R.I.P. Ashley Bilisano. If other people cared, about her as much as they cared about the boys, then I think we would have a better society. Ashley Bilisano should have been put into a position of power herself, the police chief. She could have been the principal, a teacher, a president, whatever she wanted to be, a doctor. And then with that power, she would have been able to make money and, get away from her fucking bullshit. Only by empowering her to do more could she have done anything, got past this. She had no power to do anything about it. And so, I think that even me, I think we all need to give a shit about other people. I should care about that Marcus, that one guy that killed himself, Marcus Wheeler in Arizona. And then that kid in Frankfurt. If someone would have reached out to them, maybe they could have actually done something with their lives, made something of themselves. But they would have had to have empowered them. They couldn't have excused or, let other people fuck with them and think that's acceptable behavior, because it's not. So I don't have any good ending words like, oh, okay, and then. We could do better as a society. And people, if you're depressed, stop killing yourselves. reach out. I think you need to reach out to more people. She could have called other authorities. She could have moved away from the situation if she had the ability or power. You know, she's 18, so she's in her own house. Maybe maybe her parents wouldn't care. Nobody cared. Nobody did a fucking thing. She has to go and experience this horrible fucking bullshit. You know, all by herself, by her lonesome. I was watching Malcolm in the Middle. I think it's Malcolm in. No, it was South Park. And the grandmother, Tweek's grandmother, was bullying him and taking him into the bathroom and like, listen here, you little shit, you're gonna do what the fuck I tell you, and don't you ever. And then when someone would knock on the bathroom, she'd be like, hi, no, I thought it was the ladies' room, Tweek, why'd you tell me? And so she got all sweet and pretended that she wasn't this mean-ass bully. But if you're Tweek and you're trying to tell the world, you know, hey, this motherfucking bully is bullying the shit out of me when it's just me and them, and then everybody else just either ignores it, doesn't give a shit, or says, well, I talked to the bully and he never bullied me and he's always nice to me, so I think you're a liar. And fuck you. I don't care if he's bullying you. Fuck you. And that's what it feels like. That would be what it would feel like. Especially going to an authority figure. Okay, you're supposed to do stuff. You're supposed to help others. Here's my complaint. Are you going to help me? No? Alright, go fuck yourself. But she took it harder than that. She was kind of like, I poured my heart out. I wanted you to believe. I wanted you to care out of everybody. And you did nothing. So, Ashley Bilasano, I feel your pain. Marcus Wheeler, I feel your pain. The kid in Frankfurt, anybody that takes their life, don't do it. You have a right to do it. But there is hope. There's always hope. Isn't there? Isn't there?